Well, good evening. Thank you, Chuck, for that warm welcome and introduction, and thank you all for being here. I bring you greetings from Tom Minery, our director, and the rest of the team back at, thank you, we appreciate him and the rest of the team, back at Citizen Lake in Colorado Springs, and I look forward to relaying to them what a great day we have had together. Hasn't it been wonderful? I've been inspired and encouraged. Now, it's common for a speaker to offer an audience good news and bad news. But I'm going to do away with the bad news. Is that all right? I think we've heard enough bad news over the last few years. Now, I'm thankful for our speakers today of reminding us of the plight that we're in, because we need to know so we can act. But what I want to focus on tonight in these few minutes I have is offering some good news. Some good news and a challenge. Now, most of the good news today, I have to tell you first, probably is no surprise, is not coming from Washington, D.C. The places where the good news is coming from are places like Indianapolis and Little Rock, places like Raleigh and Topeka, from Tallahassee to Austin to Bismarck. The places where we're seeing really good news is at the state level, and we're excited about that. You don't hear a lot about it in the media. For one thing, they tend to not like to report our good news. But also they tend to be DC-centric, especially at the national level. That's probably understandable. National news sells. Detailed state-by-state reports on legislative matters, not so much. But the reality is that on many of these issues, especially the issues you and I maybe are most passionate about, defending life, upholding marriage, education reform, etc. These are issues that are most often decided at the state level. It's the way the Founding Fathers intended. And even though our system is eroded from what they designed, we still, by and large, have that system. And on many of these issues, we are winning at the state level. I'll say it again, on many of these issues, winning, and it's exciting. Now, Citizen Lake is proud to be a sponsor of today's event, but what we're really most proud of is the network of state groups that we're pleased to be associated with. We call them family policy councils, groups that are doing a bang-up job at the state capitol, all around the country. In fact, there's 37 right now. We're soon to add a 38th, and many of these groups are groups that we helped to start over the years. In fact, it was roughly 15 years ago that one of those fledgling groups was a brand new startup called the Iowa Family Policy Center. And out of that group, and the marvelous leadership over the years from Chuck Hurley, grew to be the family leader. And we are just so thankful for Bob and his team and all that the family leader is doing to uphold truth and righteousness in Iowa. But you know, what they are doing is just a taste of what is happening around the country. And I just want to focus on that for a minute. I could go state by state, issue by issue, I won't do that. But let me give you just one example. In the mid-90s, we helped launch a group called the Center for Arizona Policy. Now, since then, they have made an incredible impact for good in that state. How big of an impact? Well, at last count, they had over 100 new pro-family laws that they had either been the drafter of or the chief proponent of in the legislature, or in most cases, both. Now, these are not minor tweaks to laws. These are significant changes. These are laws protecting life, laws that safeguard religious freedom, laws that uphold marriage, laws that defend decency, laws that give parents more control over their kids' education, and on and on and on. And you can multiply that impact all over the country. It's not just the great work that the family leader is doing here. It's not just the Center for Arizona Policy and the work that they're doing in that state. All over the country, this kind of work is going on. We don't hear about it a lot, but we are making progress. And, we have our rough spots. I think the east and the west coast. But most of the country, we are making progress on most of these issues. Now, there's something else that we have also gotten better at the state level. We have a saying that when you're trying to get a bill passed, the first goal is to change a legislator's mind. Give them good information, great examples, credible sources, and hopefully change their mind, change their way of thinking on that issue. But if you can't change their mind, then you need to at least change their vote. And that means mobilizing people around the state to raise their voices and raise the political heat on them so that they choose the right way. But if you can't change their mind and you can't change their vote, then the only thing left is to change their address. And the only thing left is to send them home and elect somebody new to represent that district. And pro-family groups at the state level are getting a lot better at changing legislators' addresses. We've been pleased to provide a lot of help for these groups, but they've had a major hand in changing the makeup of state legislatures in quite a few states so that they can now move common sense pro-family policies forward. Now, why all the progress at the state level? For one thing, state government is closer to the people. Des Moines is a lot more accessible than Washington, D.C. It's also smaller. It's a smaller stage, smaller scale, and therefore cheaper. So the good news is that we can make a difference at the state level, and that we are making a difference at the state level. But I also have a challenge, and that challenge is for you to commit today to finding something new that you can invest your time or your resources in to make a difference at the state level. You just commit to find one meaningful way to do that. Now, I'm not saying to forget about Washington. No, not at all. CitizenLink spends a lot of time focused on federal issues. Go to citizenlink.com, and there's all kinds of great resources there on federal issues. And you all have some huge federal races coming up, a big U.S. Senate race, big U.S. House races. We all know the huge role you have in the presidential election. Keep that coming. That's important. But don't forget about Des Moines. A simple action in state politics can have a powerful, lasting impact. You may, for example, decide to volunteer for a good state Senate candidate. And that reminds me, I was in your state capitol yesterday. Had to see it. I've been on the outside before, but had to see it. I heard it was beautiful. And it is. It's just gorgeous. But as I was standing in the state Senate chamber, I had to think, what a difference just 2 or 3 more conservative state senators would make for Iowa. And huge ramifications for the nation. So once again, maybe you'll decide to volunteer for that good state Senate candidate, or maybe you'll be that candidate. Or maybe you're a pastor, and you can, like another pastor I met here today, organize some local pastors to come down here, to come down to Des Moines, spend time at the Capitol, raising your voice and making a difference just by your presence. But if you're not sure what to do, talk to the good folks at the Family Leader. They'll have great ideas. They'll have a way that will fit you and how you can make a difference. So my friends, let's join the fight. Let's join the fight, especially at the state level. Let's ratchet up the fight, and let's fight the fight. Let's fight the good fight. Let's do it in truth and in love. Let's do it for God's glory and for the good of all people. Thank you so much, and God bless you.